And we are rolling. So it has been a long time since I've done a random toy review on the channel. I am having a different bit of a setup. You can't see right now because all you see in frame is the black background, but I am doing it in a different location setup, and I'm using a brand new camera, not the video camera I was using for my previous videos. This is a Canon EOS camera that I use for photography that has a video option. So I don't know what the quality will end up like. If the audio quality will be bad, I'll figure that out in post. But for right now, I am just rolling with it. With a brand new random toy review of a figure I literally bought yesterday. I bought this guy yesterday because I heard he was pretty cool and I wanted to check him out. And I am familiar with the line he is from. So this is Classics Grimlock. Excuse me, I'm going to get in a different location here, or position, because I am on the ground now. Doing this on my floor, but Grimlock here is from the Classics line, which came out in, I believe, 2006. And it was one of the first ever toy lines to basically make new figures, not from a current show or movie at the time, but just classic legacy characters from G1. We have that all the time now with not Studio Series, but like Legacy, Generations, you know, Universe kind of did it in 2000, or Universe 2 from like 2008 did it, not Universe 1, which is repaints, but this is Classics was one of the first lines to do it, and it was also a really groundbreaking line because it brought back the idea of the Transformer toy is just that, just a toy. Excuse me while I mess with my camera here. It is not like, you know, it doesn't have to have a million gimmicks involved in it, as we'll see in a bit. But we'll just take a look at Grimlock here. He is inspired by Generation 1 Grimlock, although he looks very radically different, a little enhanced, a lot more sharp and edgy for that, you know, mid-2000s aesthetic. And right off the bat, one thing I really want to say is I absolutely love, oh, you can see right there, you can see even right there what I'm talking about. I love the translucent plastic on this thing. I know when you hear translucent plastic in Transformers, you think negative, but this toy does it correctly. Like, you see the eyes there, if it'll focus, I don't know. But yeah, it is glowing because through the light piping. The fact that this figure has light piping in both the robot mode head and the T-Rex head is really, really cool. It's not a bad T-Rex head. It looks a little dog-like due to the way the mouth and the jaw is shaped, but it's got some sharp teeth in there. It looks like it's still recognizable as Grimlock, you know, even though it's not directly the G1 design. As you can see, he's standing in the actual accurate T-Rex pose. However, if you want to, you totally can get him in the classic butt dragging mode that the G1 figure or toy was in. But obviously, this is more accurate. A lot of cool little intricate designs on the tail here. A lot of the I would say like cybernetic kind of designs almost are a precursor to what this character would look like in Fall of Cybertron. It's almost that same kind of look to it. You can see here a lot of gold. The gold on this thing, I don't think this is gold plastic. I think this is, yeah, this is just gray plastic, as you can see. Right there, gray plastic that's just painted gold, so thankfully this is not a GPS figure. But the gold paint is really, really good. Again, the translucent right here, like this little like weird crystal. I don't even know what it's for, but it looks really nice. It's not on this side though. Not on this side. I like a little bit of asymmetry. I actually am a really big fan of asymmetry every once in a while when it's done correctly and it's not a distraction. Speaking of translucent plastic, we have his weapon. This thing right here. This is a missile launcher. As you can see, this is the
Again, I've never used this camera before as a video. So there we go. It's a missile launcher. It's got a blade, almost like a sword. This is really cool because it's spring-loaded. So you just press that, and I miss when Transformers did that. They stopped doing this around maybe a decade ago now, is when they just completely stopped doing spring-load for good. After they did like pressure launched, we got like shove it through, and then they just like stopped doing it completely. But you know, spring-loaded missiles, when they worked, they were the best. They were top tier gimmick, top tier weaponry. And again, it bounced right on this weird thing right here. So you just plug it on there, and Grimlock has a laser gun mounted to his back that can rotate a full 360 degrees. So that's really cool. Again, this is a really small gimmick that doesn't interfere with the toy. See, what I was talking about earlier, when Classics was revolutionary for focusing on the figure, you gotta understand, in 2006, we were just coming off the Unicron trilogy. So, if you remember the Unicron trilogy, all the figures had to have, like, this big gimmick that made up the entire toy. Like, oh, like, the Minicon, you gotta shove on, it launches something, or, like, the Cyber Key goes in, or whatever. And many of those gimmicks would, like, hinder the toy. Some of them did pretty good, and some of them others didn't. Classics was a line that almost was in protest against that. It was like, no, there doesn't need to be a big flashy gimmick. The gimmick is, it's a transforming robot. That's your gimmick. It was able to make it just an action figure on its own that can exist on its own without some spring-loaded, oh, you gotta plug something in that is so complicated in its engineering that it pretty much sacrifices the entire toy. Speaking of which, you can get really good poses with him. You know, I love the legs have a very good range of motion since they will be the Robo Mode arms. You can, you know, do like that if you want. That's actually really, really cool. Speaking of articulation, the legs back and forth at the, I guess, hip, little knee, and then move the foot. Of course, with T-Rex has very stubby arms, so these aren't going to go anywhere, but they are ball jointed at the shoulder. And then the head can go up and down, and you can open the jaw very wide, even wider than that. That's due to the transformation, but again, not a bad T-Rex mode. The only big problem with the T-Rex mode is that these hips do not tab in place. They will easily just kind of come undone as you're messing around with it. That's for transformation. But oh, and by the way, one last thing, the tail is articulate. Check that out. That's really, really cool. So anyway, other than that, really good T-Rex mode. Pretty much very little, if anything, wrong with it. Now let's get into robot mode real quick. Now, in order to do that, first thing we're going to do is remove the tail. That comes off, and there's his head. His head is in his butt. Wonderful. And then from there, you just kind of move a bunch of stuff around, like unhook that, like I said, and then unclip this. The transformation is almost pretty much identical to Generation 1 Grimlock, except for on G1 Grimlock, his robot mode legs came from the tail, whereas here they come from the head of the dinosaur. So that has to, see, that's unhooked. That's unhooked there. So this has to come undone via, like, split in half. Like that. There you go. Move the legs down. Open up this jaw. This is what I mean when the transformation required the jaw to open all the way like that. It creates a heel, and then the legs just kind of hang off it. That opens. Alright, can you see that? Oof. Good, I gotta stretch my back a bit because I'm just sitting on my bedroom floor right now trying to do this. But, and then this is where it gets a little complicated. So, or not complicated, but like so many panels are like conflicting with each other. So this moves, come on, that way, and then the head turns this way, and then this rotates across his chest 180. Don't forget to flip that little piece in, and then lock the arms in place. Well, lock in place. We'll get to that in a minute. I'm gonna see if I can prop the camera up. There we go. Oh, and for the arms, all you have to do is just kind of at this joint here. There we go. And there's his hand. Do that on the other arm as well. And you got yourself a Grimlock. Oh, and you gotta pull those down and flip that down. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Grimlock in robot mode. Come on. There we go. A big, well, not that big. He's only about that big. In fact, let me give you a size comparison real quick. So I have some size comparisons here for Grimlock. I forget what class he was, like Deluxe, Voyager. I think he's a Deluxe because he's not that big. But here he is next to Toaliwa. Here he is next to let's see, another a more modern Deluxe class. She's all bent right now, but Kingdom Blackarachnia. And here she is next, or here he is next to Ray from the Black series. So he's not that big. He's kind of small, especially for Grimlock, which is a little underwhelming, but you know, he's an interesting toy as is. We'll get a close-up of the head, not at his belly, but at his head. It is come on, focus on it. Will it focus? Come on. Focus on the head. Anyway, you can see it. It is Grimlock. It is undeniably G1 Grimlock. Again, the light piping is magnificent. Look at its glow right now. Look at that glow. Oh my god, it's amazing. That is incredible. I love that. I love the translucent red on this toy. It's so good. You can see there that crystal earlier makes a really good chest piece. Some more red there. A lot of the detail you've already seen already, so not much new. But he's not a bad design at all, I don't think. There are some things wrong with him. I'm gonna see if I can see, cause that. No. Bring him closer. There you go. Again, I'm trying a new setup here. In terms of articulation, let's go over that real quick. A head could go no, it can't actually go a full 360. It's gonna bump in, but it can look that far and that far. Arms, shoulders, full 360. You get they can move in and out. You get a very, very short and stubby arm. Forearm at the elbow, very short and stubby. That's where the hand is. No hand articulation. That's a bit unfortunate. He has so waist articulation is weird because you get it at like the upper chest, but it can't. I believe it goes full. Yeah, it can go. In theory, it can go full 360, but all the panels are gonna bump into it, so it's not like it actually will go. Ball jointed shoulders. Also swivel at the. Wow, I'm an idiot. Ball jointed hips, swivel at the thighs. That's not supposed to happen. But as you can see, pretty okay knee, roughly 90-degree knee, even though it's really for articulation. Pop you back on, and then the feet can kind of go like that. I don't know. The feet are kind of limited, but articulation for the time is standard. Nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing extraordinary. But nothing like awful either. This is pretty standard, normal articulation for 2006. We'll go over his gimmicks. Again, all you have is this, which can go in one hand, and then the tail. Here's the tail. What you do is you take the this part here, and focus on it. There we go. Take that, fold it inward like that, and then you attach it to the other hand, like so, and it is a sort of, I don't really know, like a whip or a sword. I mean, obviously the tail can still articulate, so I guess it's supposed to be like a whip or something. It is weird. It looks kind of dumb. I'm not gonna lie. I don't like it as much as like the gun, but it's not bad. At least it gives him something, you know. Another thing, one thing that is a flaw that would maybe prevent you from wanting to get this guy is that on my copy at least, I think other people is the same way, nothing tabs into place. And when I say nothing, I mean pretty much everything up here is so like loose. Like as you can see, open this real quick. There is a hole there and a tab there. You think it would lock into place, but it just sits there and it can easily come undone as you're goofing around with it. Same thing with this kind of bring the camera up a bit to show you this around his neck. This area around his neck, this thing, you know, that's for transformation. That moves around all the time without locking into place. You would think that there's actually two little inch marks there, or like two little incisions there, and then you get two little tabs here. You think they lock into place, but no, they actually don't line up. They do not line up at all. So I think in theory they were supposed to, but they just won't go in because they're not lined up properly. So that is a little bit of a shame. That can be kind of annoying when goofing around with it, but as long as you, but nothing on my copy at least is loose. Like it doesn't like flop around. It's just kind of something that's a little annoying and you gotta deal with, but it's not the end of the world, you know. Other than that, I think, in conclusion, I would say that Classics Grimlock is a really, really cool looking figure. If you're into the Classics line, I recommend getting him because, again, I just love the overall design of it. I'm trying to get him in the middle so I can get that final image for the thumbnail. But yeah, definitely pick him up if you're into Classics. What I recommend, if you just want a Grimlock in general, I would probably go for other Grimlocks like Studio Series 86 Grimlock, Animated Grimlock, Fall Cybertron Grimlock. He's not maybe above him, but if you're just looking for any Grimlock in general, any like Classics toy, I definitely think he's worth it. You're not going to regret owning him, and he's a lot of fun to goof around with, especially with, you know, stuff like this. The everything it comes with, you know. Is he the best of the Classics? No, but even being one of the weakest of the Classics is quite a statement because the Classics was just such a good line that even the weakest is still pretty impressive for the most part.